Up next, we have Hell Teacher Jigoku Sensei Nube, episode 1. So, this show is technically about a teacher who goes and joins a school near an area that has had an increase of spiritual activity, and his goal or objective is to make sure his students are safe, as far as I can tell from the premise. So he joins the school and he tries to make this big entrance as he's getting in, and people are already like kind of talking as he's about to approach, like, "Oh, we have a new teacher. I wonder what he's like." And we have this girl who is Kyoko, who happens to be like a childhood friend or happens to remember him from way back in the day, and tells everybody like, "Oh, he's an exorcist and he's the actual real deal." And everybody's kind of like looking at her like, "Nah, that's kind of like, isn't that kind of like whack, kind of like not true?" And even one of the students there, Hiroshi, who seems to not really appreciate people diving into the spiritual stuff or into exorcism like that, that kind of like blows her away. And you can already see that there's an inkling of him having something weigh in his mind, just from the way he's kind of looking outward and just keeping to himself, not really speaking to anybody, trying to isolate himself. And as we have the teacher come in, he comes into this like really uh, ghostly kind of theme and completely fumbles as soon as he gets in. It changes to the next song, which is a completely different song, and kind of doesn't go with his vibe of being the exorcist, whatever. And he lets everybody know that he's Mr. Nuno, but they can call him Nube or Nube. Um, and right off the bat, they kind of try to tell him like, "Hey, well, if you're an exorcist, why don't you prove it to us? Like, there's this portrait that happens to move from time to time." And he's like, "Okay, well, perfect timing then. I guess I'll show you guys." He starts throwing salt and performs this ritual for like exorcism. And it as soon as the teacher arrives, another teacher arrives there, Ritsuko. She completely gets scared off from it, and it's like, "Don't attempt any of this stuff to scare. You're scaring the children." All this other stuff. And we see Hiroshi kind of have this mini segment to himself where it's like he tries to recall back to his experience with somebody who delves into the spiritual realm and whatnot, and he completely loses his cool and heads off. And he's out there and he's practicing soccer with his teammates, and this is when we start kind of really see that something's really wrong with them, something's really bothering them. And he ends up going off the rails and injures one of his teammates. And we see that now he really is trying to keep his cool, like something's really bugging him, like. And they try to confront him the next day at school, and he just completely loses it again, uh, and pushes Kyoko, and he hurts her to the point where she starts bleeding. And we really see that he doesn't really mean it. He really feels sorry, but at the same time, he has no way of really controlling his anger, so to speak. So Nube, the kind of teacher that he is, kind of tells him, "All right, why don't you come with me, and we can talk things out." And we instantly see somebody like look off as they're heading outside. It's one of the doctors that's like helping Hiroshi take care of his dad. And as soon as we get to this park, this baby couldn't stop crying, so Nube like goes to him and performs this ritual and removes like this kind of like worm spirit out of him. And this is when we find out that what Hiroshi has is something way worse as than this worm. Like this, the thing that's inside of him actually is controlling him and is forcing these negative emotions to take over him. And if not, they don't take care of it, he could seriously end up hurting somebody to the point of no return. So he ends up after we end up realizing that he he's taken over by this evil spirit and completely pushes the teacher away, and he starts rushing to be by himself, and he starts lamenting like, why am I like this? Why can't I control my anger? What's wrong with me? And as he's feeding the spirit negative emotions, you can see the spirit keeps getting stronger and stronger. And then it just really comes down to Kyoko, who tries to once again reason with Hiroshi, and it doesn't pan out well. He starts attacking her until the teacher Nube comes in and rescues her with his demon arm, which now we finally get to see what's under the glove, that he was hiding one of his hands with the glove. He finally takes it off, and we see that it's kind of like a very demonic arm, and it really does look like the an arm from like Attack on Titan, which I remember seeing that the mangaka for Attack on Titan was heavily inspired by this piece of media. And so he uses that and is able to like really he tells Hiroshi to like, don't worry, I'm gonna save you and all this stuff. He manages to get the spirit away from inside of him and beats it. And now Hiroshi feels safe. It's like, all right, now we can finally like. Now he finally accepts the teacher for who he is as a kind person, and he apologizes for all his wrongdoings, and now wants to really make amends on everybody. But before the episode ends, they get attacked by the doctor that was seeing them get away, which leaves us on a very cliffhanger as Nube, the teacher, completely gets overpowered and he's holding Hiroshi by the neck. So really good cliffhanger, and I gotta say this animation for the show has been really good so far. First episode, easily a 7 out of 10. I really enjoyed that this anime is a reboot of a previous work that's already been done, just made more modernized for like the current audience of anime. And yeah, I'm excited to continue covering it.